Hersom Acorn Newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersom Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a radio announcer. I'm a high school football coach. And since I was old enough to stand on the side of a stream next to my dad, I've been an angler. I've fished with bait, lures, and flies. I've fished with spinning gear, fly rods, jigging poles, and tip-ups. I've stood on ice, waded rapids, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing, be it freshwater or salt, heavy flows, high seas, or cutting through a foot of ice, as much as I do, no matter what the quarry, no matter the tactics, no matter the chosen tackle. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman on HANradio.com.
Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. Busy time in the fishing world. We've got a lot going on. We've got a lot of tournaments coming up, the runs coming up, the blitzes coming up, fall stockings coming up, fall fishing's coming up, and the big stripers will be in soon. And that's why we're bringing our first guest on. He's on hold. We're going to get right to him. Greg Meyerson. Greg of World Record Striper Company, aptly named company. Greg, I can hear. So you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Beautiful. So you're an electrician for the Connecticut Department of Transportation and catching huge stripers, and now we've got the World Record Striper Company. Tell us what you guys do.
Well, we're all fishermen. We all love to fish. We're all Connecticut fishermen. We fish for everything other than stripers. We fish for anything, anytime, any place. The company really started because of what I was doing for my personal use to be a better fisherman for striped bass. And, one of the things that I was making was a sinker that mimicked lobster sound in decibel and frequency and was leading to some tremendous catches. And that became a business on its own, really, without any willing to become a business or trying to become a business. It's just that when you have something that puts you in the spotlight and catches a world record and a few of them and then wins all these tournaments, and people want to know how, why, and there was no real thing to do but offer them up for sale at a few of our trade shows that we were paid to show up with the World Record Striper. And the sales were great. And people really liked the new technology, and the catches and the results people were having were tremendous. A lot of people have won a lot of tournaments and caught their biggest fish using it, and yeah, that's what happened. It just became, it was something I made for me to be a better fisherman, and it wound up becoming a business.
But it's such a simple, it doesn't seem like that far out an idea to add a rattle. It's really something that in freshwater fishing had been used for some time, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you got to go, there's been rattles, there's rattles for everything. It's not anything new in the fishing world, that's for sure. But what I do is base my rattle sound on science. So, there's plenty of fishing things out there that are probably making noise that don't appeal to fish at all. So if I'm trying to attract fish, I'm trying to attract them and call them in by playing on the most important thing, and that is what they're eating, and there's calls for deer, there's calls for ducks, there's calls for fish, too. It's just got to be food. Usually the animal calls are mating calls and all that, but fish, they're driven by food, and if you have something that sounds like food, especially to a big fish, you're going to not only increase your chances of catching more fish, but bigger fish.
Now, were you using one of these when you caught the record?
Oh, absolutely. I don't fish without it. Since 1991, I've never fished without one. I won't even go fishing if I don't have one.
Now, what was the go ahead.
It's the same for a lot of the people that start using the product, like the guys that I fish with and people that I sell to now. They experience a taste of the success, and now they don't fish without them. It's just it's becoming something that's taken on a mind of its own, really.
What was it like when you caught the 81-pound, almost 82-pounder?
Well, that's a great question. That story has a lot of backstories to it too, all which will be told in a big book deal that I just received with Houghton Mifflin in Boston.
Oh, congratulations!
Not just about that, yeah, not just about that fish, but about the whole story. And it's going to be written by a guy named Tim Gallagher and I together. And yeah, he's a really great author. He's a Cornell professor, and we're working on that project now. We have about a year to get it done. But yeah, that catching the world record. I mean, there was a lot of, like I said, a lot of backstories that went along with it. Some pretty funny stuff. Like that morning, actually, during the course of the year, I pick out some of the best days of the year for fishing. By going into apps and checking tide charts, and ideally, I like to be out there fishing for big bass on a first quarter moon with a slack high tide right around sunset. And if you could find those times of the year that circumstance happens, then you have a prime fishing condition. And it just so happens that day was one of the best days I had marked for the year. And one of the things that happened was the guy that usually fishes with me, that fished with me all the time for years, it was his birthday. And we worked together for the Department of Transportation. We've been electricians together. We fished together, and it was his birthday, and he couldn't make it that night. So I had another friend of mine who always asked me, he wanted to always go fishing. He wasn't a real great fisherman. He just didn't do it a lot. But I said, well, Matt Farina, tonight is your night. This is your night. And Brian Beauchamp couldn't make it. It was his birthday, and so I had Matt on board fishing with me, and not the most experienced, but great. He's still a great fisherman. As far as stripers go, he hadn't really done much of it, and the rest is history. But there was a lot of things that happened on board. That there was slips and falls. The net was caught on the platform. The fish was caught in the net. I mean, there was just all kinds of things that happened that night that almost didn't. The world record almost didn't happen. And to nail a fish like that, I mean, you have to really have everything. Your line has to be perfect, and your knots are good. No nicks in the line. Your hook's sharp. You the right drag set, because the power of a fish like that is just immense. And it had already broken a few lines. It had a line in its mouth. It had
really?
A treble hook in the side of its head. Yeah. So it was probably just swimming around the sound, eating and snapping lines like it was its job.
And when you've got any fish on, particularly one of that size, there are so many things that can happen, and the majority of them aren't good.
Right. Another great part to that story is the way the rod was designed by a friend of mine who was a Marine Corps veteran. He was a Vietnam helicopter pilot. His name's Whitey Maydag. He flew 3 tours in Vietnam. He was shot in the face. He was held prisoner. He escaped. He then went on to fly Marine One for Ford, Nixon, Carter, and then sold helicopters to the government. But one of his passions is designing and building fishing rods. And I told him that I need a rod with serious backbone and a wheel tip and that. He went on and designed that St. Croix blank for me.
Oh,
just
wow.
the way I wanted. Yeah, which a lot of people don't know about that and that whole story as far as he goes too. But so he designed that rod, and I still use it today.
And you're designing rods now too?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I design them for Lamaglass and Dick Posey, who's the owner of Lamb and Glass, gave me the full reign on the designs, and I got to do whatever it is I wanted. So that's one of our state trooper friends just stopped to say hello.
So,
Officer Greg LeBeau, he's a good friend of mine.
ah, okay. So,
Good guy, yeah. So anyways, yeah, Lamb and Glass. A lot of companies came around when the world record was caught, and they wanted me to slap my name onto their stuff, and I'm not really up for slapping my name on other people's junk and not having a say in the way things are made. And Dick Posey came to me and said, "Hey, and you have full reign on the design and have at it." I mean, we went to work and designed some really great rods.
what are the attributes of a Greg Myerson designed rod?
Well, they're kind of built for the kind of fishing that I do, which is a lot of it. And I've been known to go out for an hour and with a half a Gatorade and fish for 3 tides while the people that came along are tortured and begged to go in. So when you're holding a rod like that, a heavy fishing pole becomes like a tree in your hand after hours of using it. So I designed that rod to be longer, have backbone, yet be lightweight, have the wheel tips to use with a braided line, have to be cork handles, which I like, to be thicker than most handles so your hands don't cramp up, and then have a long enough back handle to be able to use for leverage under your arm when you have a big fish on, to give you a little extra support.
That makes a lot of sense. Talking with Greg Myerson of the World Record Striper Company, we're talking about his lures. Tell us about the designs of your lures. Now, some of them look like, a meteor bucktail jig, no?
Right. Well, the thing is with my stuff, I didn't really want to change anything I was doing with the tackle. I wanted a sinker to be like a sinker, but I wanted it to emit a sound that attracted fish. And a bucktail to be like a bucktail, but just make sound to attract fish. So I didn't really want to. I didn't really need a crazy design. I just wanted it to like the sinkers. I'm actually working on different ones now where they have a keel on them and they have more ribs in them and the sound kind of emits better, and you could use a lighter one in a different circumstance, like where it has grooves that cut through the water better. So where you would need an 8 ounce, you could now use a 5.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm getting the opportunity to do all this stuff, which is like a dream come true. Like I said, I just love to fish, and I'll fish for anything, anytime, any place. But to be able to turn my passion into a job is really like a dream come true. But if it ever gets too hectic and I don't enjoy it anymore, then we'll have to figure something out if it cuts into my fishing time.
That's the one thing you have to look at when you start doing work involved with fishing, is how much of your fishing time do you lose
Right.
in that sacrifice. And sometimes it's fun to do the work, but sometimes you do lose that time doing what you really enjoy. Now, explain why the rattle in the sinker. Now, I understand the rattle in the lure. What are we getting different with the rattle in the sinker? I believe you also have rattle in floats, correct?
Yeah, everything I do is for a purpose. Like, so I used to 3-way eels a lot, and I still do. And I was always kind of a nerd as a kid. I was the kind of guy that always did everything was an experiment. I got beat up a lot in the neighborhood. But learning more about fish growing up, I grew up on a river. I grew up on the Muddy River, which is a great river in North Haven. I spent a lot of my time fishing there as a kid, and I just loved it. And in the summer times, I caught fish and drew pictures of them and then released them and sketched them out and went home and looked up what kind they were and stuff like that. So I've always been kind of a nerd. And I went to the college for natural resources and high school for that, and I kind of have a little bit of a science background. So when I started to, get into striped bass fishermen, which was a really young age, I understood that the striped bass in most fish are all nearsighted. They really, really can't see well at all. especially like last night I was out there and we just had all that rain, and it was a muddy, cloudy water condition, which is perfect for the rattle sinker because now I'm coming into my drift, and a fish that can't really see well is using their hearing, which is 100 times better than any person, to pick up on their prey. And something that sounds like food, they're going to come and inspect right away. So that's why I do all my drifts really stealth, motor off, no talking, really quiet, coming into a spot, rattling along the bottom. The fish keys in on the sound, comes in for an investigation, picks up on the smell of the bait, and then bam. But, like I said, the sound was based on me using my hydrophone, which is an underwater microphone. I've been using them for years.
Oh, wow. That is
I do
great.
it as a hobby. I like to listen to stuff underwater. If you think about it, and if you picture the bottom of the ocean, and you're down 40 feet, there's really, when the tide is ripping, it's kind of a noisy place. And you could hear all kinds of different things going on, especially with the hydrophone. You could hear shrimp cracking, you could hear fish eating fish, you could hear all kinds of different sounds that you wouldn't even imagine. And by that being a hobby of mine, I was able to figure out that, these fish are listening for their food. More than any color, it doesn't really matter. It's more of the sound that you're bringing at them. And a lot of times people will catch fish right on when the lure hits the water because it's a sound. It's something that attracted the fish to the bait. You're really hit or miss if you don't have any sound. You're drifting along, you go by the reef, if there's a fish there, you get it. But if you're going along and you're rattling along the bottom and you're banging, clicking and clicking and clicking as you drift, and you're kicking up some dirt, and the fish are hearing this, and they're coming, they're going to line themselves up for the attack. And that's pretty much the technique I use called rattling that I design the rods for and all my gear for. And the floats that rattle, that's something that I use for when the striped bass are in really shallow water and you want to use an eel, but if you throw it in there, the eel's just going to go right into the rocks and it's not going to be any good. So I like to bring that same sound with the float and have the eel trying to get itself into the rocks, pulling the float along, and the float is just drawing out the eel and bringing attention to the bait big time.
Yeah, and so few people, this is the first conversation I've had where it's been primarily about sound and fishing. All the talk about color, all the paint schemes on lures designed to sell them for fishermen, the different patterns and flies, etc. And this is the first conversation I've really had with anybody with a real scientific and evidence about the sound. Is that an underused strategy?
Absolutely. It works for everything. I mean, a trout, I fly fished all over the world. I fish all the time. I even make flies with rattles in them for the trout, especially with big caddis at night. I've done a tremendous amount of fly fishing and still do. It's really my passion. I make flies for albacore and bonito and all that stuff. And really, I mean, there's some fish that see better than others, like deep water tuna and sharks and stuff like that have a better eyesight because they're just swimming in an environment that's a lot cleaner. But striped bass and pretty much all kinds of inland in-water game fish and stuff like that, it's really, really tough for them to see, so they really rely on their sound instincts more than anything else.
So how did you end up on Shark Tank?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I think, a friend of mine, Mike Fronte, we fish together all the time. We joke around and we call each other dummy, and it's just a term of endearment. But he goes, "Hey, dummy, there's this paper on your desk here from Shark Tank," and I had mail all over the table. I go, "Really?" I go, "I didn't really even know what Shark Tank is." He goes, "Well, don't you think we should fill it out?" I said, "Well, all right." I said, "Do you really want to fill it out, or do you want to go fishing? Because we're running late here, And we filled it out, and I guess we sent it in. I don't even remember. And like 4 years later, I got the call, and it was kind of crazy, for a kid like me growing up fishing in the muddy river of North Haven to all of a sudden be fishing for a billionaire on a the giant stage of ABC television, and it really didn't even set home or really I really wasn't too affected by it until I was in that van picked up from the airport, and I was heading into the Sony Picture Studio in Hollywood, and I pulled up through those arches there, and I said, "What the hell did I get myself into here?"
Now, how much of fishing did you have to explain to them, or were some of them kind of, schooled in it? No pun intended. That was
I
bad.
mean, Damon John's a fisherman, and he was the biggest fisherman in the group, and the show was edited down to about 10 minutes, but literally I was in there an hour.
Really?
And there was a lot of funny stuff that was cut out, and a lot of ball busting going on between me and the sharks that, I kind of psyched myself up, and I did not want to go in there and look like an idiot and be known as the idiot from Shark Tank the rest of my life. So when the digs started coming out, I was quick with my returns, and we got into it a little bit, and I think I had the upper hand on Damon in one part, and then they edited that out.
But it was Mark Cuban who bought into it?
It was Mark. Yeah, it was Mark ultimately that, he wanted it from the start. I could tell by feeling him out as soon as I walked in. He owns another tackle company called Fishing Ammo, which is
I didn't
the
know that.
shotgun bobber. Yeah, he owns that. So I guess, he was thinking along the lines of me helping them or working with them or them working and becoming bigger, building my stuff for me. But when it all came out, in the end, no one was really able to produce it but us. We were too far along in our production facility and our whole production line. So now I'm actually designing a product for them. It's a rattle and hand grenade sinker.
Oh, really?
That'll go along with their Fishing Ammo brand. Yeah. And we're getting that product into like 4,000 Walmarts come next year.
Oh, so we'll keep an eye out for that. You've got the book coming out. Well, you've got about a year to work on it. When are we looking at the release of the book?
I'm not quite sure. It should be sometime in 2016. And we've been making a documentary called Running the Coast. It's a fantastic striped bass documentary with a producer called Jamie Howard. And he's made some really famous fishing films. One was called Chasing Silver. It was a tarpon fly fishing documentary.
Right.
That was really his biggest so far. Andy Mills starred in it. And I got the lead role in Running the Coast, and there's some really fantastic fishing footage in there. And that should be coming out by Christmas of this year.
So we're going to have a lot of reasons to have you back on the show real soon to talk about stripers and talk about the World Record Striper Company.
Hey, I just like talking fishing, period.
That's why I do this. I wouldn't do this if I didn't enjoy
Yankee
it.
Fisherman.
I get paid to talk
No
fishing.
Red Sox fisherman, only Yankee.
I get paid to talk fishing. I got to get something out of it. So we've got rattle sinkers.
What's better than that?
Exactly. Rattle sinkers, rattle floats, rattle lures, World Record Striper Company merchandise. That's all at worldrecordstripercompany.com. They're out of Westbrook. Greg Meyerson, I have to say I've really enjoyed the time we've spent talking. I really can't wait to have you back on when the documentary comes out, when the book comes out, or when you catch the next world record.
Why don't we just go fishing? It'll be a lot easier. We could kill it all in one fishing trip.
I'll be setting that up. Thanks, Greg. You are watching. You're watching Yankee Fisherman on the HAN network, presented by the Dock Shop. The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the Dock Shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations.
51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are going to be here. Be there as some of the world's best women compete for the title at the Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies. And the boys are back for the Men's Legends event presented by PowerShares Series with John McEnroe, James Blake, and more. Experience a variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, and so much more for the kids and family. It all adds up to one legendary week. August 21st through the 29th at the Connecticut Tennis Center in New Haven. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
This is Sig Hansen from Deadliest Catch. You're listening to Yankee Fisherman on HANradio.com.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. John Kovach with you on this gorgeous Thursday. The weather just as nice as we left it up in Vermont. And again, can't thank the people up there enough for their hospitality. The folks at the Wilburton, all the folks we talked to in Manchester, the folks at the Orvis flagship store, the American Museum of Fly Fishing, and I want to talk to them about their Summerfest and what a great job by them bringing over exhibits. So we had the visual, casting for recovery, just a great time up there. Thanks again also to Greg Meyerson for coming on with us, World Record Striper Company. So glad we made that contact and really looking forward to our next segment with him. Another return visitor joining us now by phone, and he's been a great help to the show on and off the air in ways you guys will probably never know. Mike Bouchane from the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection joining us. Mike's a supervising fisheries biologist. Mike, thanks for coming back on.
Oh, great. Thanks for having me on, John.
I'm always worried about scaring you guys off.
We're a hardy breed. We take lots of criticism. Seems like sometimes, the state can never do anything right, but hey, we're trying our best for the anglers out there.
And you guys do a great job for the anglers out there. And one of the big ones is this Saturday, which is one of the two free fishing license day. And this is a change from the old free fishing day model, right?
Correct. Starting with passage of new legislation in 2014, the Commissioner of Energy and Environmental Protection has been granted the authority to create up to 2 free fishing license days, which is different from a free fishing day, which has been kind of on the books for a long, long time. The main difference is on free fishing day, anybody can just go fish. You do not need to have a fishing license. The 2 new days, you can get a free 1-day license, anybody, resident or non-resident, through our sportsman's licensing system or anywhere where people would buy their regular fishing license. And the purpose of having them get a free license is to help us try to gauge the effectiveness of trying to bring new anglers into the mix. And when anybody could just go out and fish, we really didn't have any clue if they would have been there anyway. But by getting their free one-day license through the system, we can now have an idea of how popular or not this actually is.
Are you at liberty to say how the first free fishing license day went, how the numbers looked?
Sure. We had exactly 500 people take advantage of it through our system, which we thought was a pretty decent number for the very first rollout of this ever. We did a survey for those people who provided us with their email at the time of getting their free license, and the responses were overwhelmingly positive. We had about 100 people respond back, and they said that the fishing was great. Even though it was a rainy day that day, they still went out, they still took advantage of it, and one of the main reasons was that they were getting to spend time with their family or significant others who normally wouldn't want to go fishing with them because they didn't want to purchase a license. But on this day, they could get their free license and they could actually go together and share some of that passion with each other that they normally wouldn't.
And if you're watching the live stream, where a lot of pictures that the DEEP had posted of families fishing at some of these events. So the free license that you could get for Saturday, August 15th, you could go freshwater or saltwater, correct?
Yes, anywhere you want. All the other regulations apply, regarding size limits and things. But it's basically you get a free one-day pass to fish wherever you would like, basically.
And you've got a special event this weekend in New London as well, correct?
Yeah, each year we have a what we call a saltwater fishing event, and we co-sponsor that with the No Child Left Inside program. It will be at Fort Trumbull State Park from 10 to 3, and our CARE program, which is our certified fishing instructors, will be on hand with all sorts of gear and bait to provide all the different families and people who show up and want to give saltwater fishing a try. It's a great pier. It's about 500 feet long. It's built for fishing. Extends out into the mouth of the Thames River. It's just a beautiful location, and it's going to be a great day. And we expect record crowds to come down and give saltwater fishing a try, and we'll be able to handle them.
And you can catch off of that pier. We're looking at bluefish, striped bass, tautog or blackfish, scup, or also known as porgy, fluke, summer flounder. It's great to have the pier that allows such variety, and you guys have begun a new effort highlighting those as enhanced fishing opportunity spots. I know we're looking at one in Milford right now on the live stream.
Yeah, there's a network of what we call enhanced fishing opportunities. It's through our Marine Fisheries Division, and at these locations, anglers can keep summer flounder or fluke or porgy at a slightly reduced minimum size limit than if they were out fishing for them at other locations. And this, again, is to try to encourage people to get down, access the shoreline, and potentially catch a tasty meal or so. Both of those species are very popular table fare.
And there are not
Fort Trumbull happens to be.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Fort Trumbull. I didn't know, is Fort Trumbull one of those? I know Bonstock in Stratford is. I know there was one in Milford that was pointed out. There was one in Branford, I believe. Yeah,
I believe we have about 25 or 30 locations statewide. We have a interactive map on our webpage, www.ct.gov/fishing, and then check out the saltwater recreational, and that will get you to there. So you can find all those locations close by near you. They're scattered from east to west all along our shoreline.
Would you say, based on what you see in dealing with anglers, is Connecticut more of a saltwater state, more of a freshwater state? Is it seasonal, or is it somewhere in between?
Well, that's an interesting question. Since I work for the Inland Fisheries Division, I would most of the contact I have is with freshwater people. If you ask me if for someone that's working in the Marine District, they'd probably say just the opposite. But I do think we have a great mix. It's a tremendous diversity in the state, and a lot of the people that I talk to do fish both inland and saltwater, and probably on some sort of a seasonal basis. A lot of trout seem to be very popular in the spring. and then as well as largemouth and smallmouth bass going into the early summer. But then a lot of people shift over to trying to go some of the bigger game with bluefish and stripers into the fall, even blackfish.
I would have to agree, and I know one of the things that keeps me in Connecticut is the ability to drive 5 minutes to the Long Island Sound and fish for stripers and bluefish, drive 5 minutes to the Saugatuck River or the Mill River and fish for trout. It really go anywhere and fish for anything, and that the access to that variety is a real draw to Connecticut. Speaking of trout, we really haven't had and we talked about this a little bit on our news show earlier, the weather's really been kind of temperate. Have we seen maybe a little more of an opportunity to fish for trout without overstressing them this year?
I would definitely say so. Last week I was fortunate to be on the population electrofishing cruise out on the Housatonic River, and the flows were fairly high out there. They've gotten pretty decent amount of rainfall this summer, unlike the shoreline. But also there's been any lack of prolonged heat waves, which has made a huge difference. And there were fish, both large smallmouth and brown trout and rainbow trout, scattered all throughout the river, not just tucked up into thermal refuges, which we would normally expect at this time. So I would say the trout fishing at most rivers is better than usual for this time of year.
Yeah, I would have to think so, because even though we haven't had a lot of rain, like you said, we have not had that extended where it's a week and a half of 95 degrees and 100% humidity.
Exactly, and even more importantly, the low temperature at night has been getting fairly cool, which allows a lot of radiational cooling. Whereas if you get those 75, 80 degree nights, you just can't sleep. That's not helping the water temperatures drop at all.
Yeah, I mean, I have the air conditioners in, and most nights I'm wondering why.
Yeah, well, it's been a good thing so far.
I'm okay, and I'm very okay with that. And okay enough that I might get the fly rod out this weekend while I can. How did the electrofishing in the Housatonic go?
From the talking with the regular biologists who are out there who run the program, they thought that maybe the numbers were down a little bit, but we were attributing that to the fact that a lot of time that we had to cover a lot more ground, and the fish had a lot more opportunity to elude capture than normal years when they would be tucked into places where they'd be more concentrated, and instead they're just more like a late spring kind of pattern where they're just about everywhere, and it's really hard for us to get them at that point.
For those who might not understand it, explain how these electrofishing studies go.
For our rivers and streams, we basically have two types. We have for small streams, we have a unit that's mounted on your back, and you carry it like a hiking pack. And in our larger streams, we pull a unit behind us in a canoe, and the principle is the same for both, that you generate electricity, and it goes into the water and causes the fish to have a twitching, they call it taxis, and it kind of brings them towards the probes that are delivering the electricity. And it gives you about maybe a second or two, especially with trout, to net them. Otherwise, they kind of snap out of it and they take off. And if you're fortunate enough to net them, we put them into a live car, which is basically a pen that it's like a live well on a boat, and it keeps them. They kind of come back around, and then every so often we'll stop when we get enough fish, and we'll measure them, take scale samples if we need to, and then we release them back into the downstream segment, and they swim off unharmed.
Now, what species do you study with those? I mean, I hear about them primarily with trout, but then again, because of my involvement with Trout Unlimited, that's probably the fish I discuss the most.
Yeah, we have our two main projects are stream surveys, which we mostly are looking at trout, but on the Housatonic we also look at smallmouth bass. And then also for rivers and streams, we do general population surveys of all species, including every type of minnow and trout, sculpins, everything that we find, so that way there we get a good picture of the overall health of the system, not just how many recreational species are there. And then a big program that we've had going on for quite a long time, over 30 years, is our lake and pond electrofishing survey, which that is mounted out of a boat. Crew of 5 will drive around the boundary of a lake. Some people may have seen that in your audience if they happen to live on a lake or are fishing on a lake at night. It looks like there's a Close Encounters of the Third Kind is coming down into the lake because we have all these lights that light up into the water. We go at nighttime because the fish tend to just stay still at that point. It's easy for them to catch, and they'll drive around the perimeter of the lake, netting all the different species that they get there as well. And same thing, we're looking for how the population as a whole is doing. Are there too few larger fish? Are there too many stunted sunfish? Things like that, to try to come up with our management regulations to increase recreational fishing.
I'm going to have to talk to you off air because I really would like to perhaps go tape one of those electrofishing studies because that just seems like it's a fascinating way to see what's happening in an aquatic habitat.
Yeah, I did fishing in rivers and streams for over 20 years, and it never got old. It's one of the best jobs in the world.
I can imagine.
Actually, spoiled me as an angler because I would spend all day seeing these beautiful trout, and then when I went home and someone would call me up and say, "Hey, you want to go fish so-and-so?" I'd be like, "Nah," and they'd be like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, I just saw the beautiful trout I'm ever going to see. I'll never come close to them with my fly rod," so I took up saltwater fishing where we can't electrofish.
Hey, speaking
Keeps
of
the mystery.
Speaking of Connecticut's rivers, do we have a timeline for fall stocking?
They just had their meeting this morning out in Harwinton to discuss finalizing plans. I would assume, or I've been told anyway, that the plan will probably follow pretty much like last year. About 25 to 30,000 trout will be going out into trout management areas, trout parks, and some of the more popular general rivers and streams. We don't have an exact start date yet. Still have to play that a little bit by ear. It'll probably be earlier in the west and later in the east unless we have some major change in the stream flows because we've had more rain and the streams are doing quite well in the west and they're pretty low in the east. So that would be my guess.
I will keep an eye out for notification. You guys do a great job via Facebook and the internet of keeping anglers notified. Anything else you want to get out from the DEEP while we have you on?
Just one other thing that's been very popular is that people keep sending us your great photos of your catches for the next year's Angler's Guide Photo Contest. This will be our third year coming up, and it's been very popular. And if you haven't sent it to us, you may be sitting on next year's cover. We'd love to have that come in.
Oh yeah, I've got to set it up that I can get an interview with the cover winner, which I've kind of unsuccessfully tried to do with the first year. I think that would be neat to talk to whoever wins that cover contest, which I think is one of the best ideas to come out of the DEEP in a while because it gets people excited about fishing, and I'm certain it helps you guys keep an eye on the number of species and the health, correct?
More so, I think it helps us to show all the hard work and everything that the biologists do, that it's really for the people. It's for to get out there and catch some quality fish. And one thing that's been kind of funny is reaction to it to me has been like, "Oh, where do you get those models to do your posing and photos?" Because there's such high quality photos that come in that they don't believe that somebody snapped them with their iPhone or their on the bank of a river. But it's really cool to see that it's a homegrown thing and this is what's there. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
They have been awesome photos, the ones I've seen. Really great stuff. So Mike Bouchane of the DEEP, just remind us once again where you can get a free fishing license for Saturday, August 15th.
Any town hall or your local bait and tackle shop that would sell fishing licenses, or the best way to do it is conveniently online at our sportsman licensing system, which is if you go to our website, www.ct.gov/fishing, there's a link right there to online sportsmen, and you can just enter the person's information in and print off your free one-day pass or save it as a PDF, and you're good to go.
So we had 500 people take advantage of that last time. Let's get more people out there. Let's get more people fishing. I'd really like to see the sport grow, and this is a great opportunity to do it. Mike Bouchane of the DEEP, thank you so much for joining us on Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop.
Thanks for having me, John.
Talk to you soon. You're watching Yankee Fisherman on the HAN Network. The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the Dock Shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Ever wonder why a story becomes news? Find out each Friday on Behind the News on HANradio.com. We'll bring in the newsmakers from around Connecticut and the journalists who cover them. Who is making the news? What did they do? Where did it happen? When and how did that story unfold? Find out on Behind the News, hosted by Kate Chaplinsky, John Kovach, and myself, Josh Fisher. Fridays at noon on HAN Radio.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Hersum Acorn and HANradio.com.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. John Kovach with you this Thursday. We are looking at a video that shows the inside of the In Development Bass Pro Shop in Bridgeport. It's in Steel Point. It is right off I-95, right by Harbor Yard, the ballpark, the arena there. Not sure yet on when they're going to officially open. Can say that they are going to have a job fair coming up next week. We're working on getting somebody to come on and talk. We've made contact with a few people. It's making schedules work and getting people on. But we can say that they are going to be hiring next week. It is Monday, the 17th, through Wednesday, the 19th, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. It is at the Klein Auditorium. That's 910 Fairfield Avenue. Do not go to the under construction Bass Pro Shop. Go to the Klein Auditorium. You must be 18 years old to apply, but they are looking for help with the hunting department, fishing department, camping, footwear, apparel, gifts, the cash office, cashiers, greeters, stockers, receiving, operations support, customer service, inventory control, marine accessories, boat sales, which was part of the draw for where they are, is that they're right on the water there. Marine technicians, boat riggers, boat detailers, parts, servers, hosts and hostesses, as they are going to have a Uncle Buck's Fish Bowl and Grill, and a nautically that's a nautically themed restaurant. They're going to have a bowling alley, by the way, Donald Eng.
When are we going? 3.
Say when.
When do they open? Let's say.
When they open, we'll go.
There. All right.
We'll
Live
go.
remote.
You got to have somebody. They don't have pin setters listed. They do have hosts and hostesses, bussers, bartenders. Wait a minute. Bartenders?
Live remote.
Dishwashers and line cooks. This is all at the Bass Pro Shops that is coming. They're going to have a Tracker Boat Center, as we said, a bowling alley, Uncle Buck's Fish Bowl and Grill. And again, this job fair that Bass Pro Shops is doing at the Klein Auditorium, 910 Fairfield Ave in Bridgeport, Monday the 17th, Tuesday the 18th, Wednesday the 19th, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. You must be 18 to apply. There's a rendering if you're watching the live stream. That is what they visualized when they put in for it. I don't know that it's going to be like most of your artist rendering. It's probably not going to exactly look like this. I will say it is an impressive looking building size-wise that is going up in the literally in the shadow of I-95. And we're looking for, I mean, I get asked all the time, when is Bass Pro Shop going to open up? And I don't know, but I'm hoping to have an answer soon. And I think the fact that they're starting to hire people is a good indication that it's coming soon. We got one more break we've got to take. We're going to step out right now and do that. Come right back and wrap up Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the Dock Shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Connecticut Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Connecticut's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Connecticut Rockefeller Estate, a national trust for historic preservation landmark.
It's grilling season, and Walter Stewart's Market is your local destination for the finest grill-ready certified Angus beef strip steaks, skirt steaks, 100% grass-fed ribeyes, all-natural pork ribs, Arthur Ave-style kebabs, fresh-cut veggies, delicious grab-and-go salads, chilled rosé wine, and ice-cold craft brews right next door. Walter Stewart's, your fresh local market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and shop online for groceries and wine delivered to your door at stewartsmarket.com.
A variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, plus top superstars of women's tennis and the Men's Legends event. The 2015 Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies, August 21st through the 29th. Get your tickets today at ctopen.org.
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersum.
Hersum Acorn and HANradio.com.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. John Kovach with you. Want to thank Greg Meyerson of the World Record Striper Company and Mike Bouchane of the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for coming on with us today. Great spots. I mean, it's just been 2 really enjoyable weeks in a row with the trip up to Manchester, everybody at Orvis, who I can't say enough about. Today, just a great show. We've got some really exciting stuff coming up. I've got video from Summerfest at the Catskill Fly Fishing Center Museum. We're going to see that in a couple of weeks. We've got video from Crossroads Angling Auction as they get ready for their November auction. We're going next week to talk about the world's greatest bluefish tournament, that the WICC Greatest Bluefish Tournament on Earth, also sponsored by the Port Jefferson Ferry. That is August 29th and 30th of this year. $25,000 for the heaviest bluefish. That's the grand prize. Second prize, $10,000. Third prize, $2,500. Fourth place, $500. Fifth place, $500. Then the next 10 places pay $200 each. There is a $200 port prize for the heaviest fish at each official weigh-in station. 203-366-BLUE or 2583 if you're looking to call in. WICC600.com for information. We are scheduled to talk more about that on next week's Yankee Fisherman. But till then, that's going to do it. We'll be back next Thursday at 1 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow with Coffee Break at 11 on the HAN Network. Till then, tight lines.
Here's a little tip that I would like to relate. Many fish bites if you got good bait. Mama going fishing, mama's going fishing, and the baby going fishing too.
Person Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.